All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to talk about two massive ideas, rebirth and karma. But look, we're going to park all the superstition and belief stuff to the side for a minute. We're going to look at this the way the ancients supposedly did. Not as a religion, but as a kind of mechanical system, a system of energy, memory, and patterns. And this quote, wow, it just perfectly sets the stage, right? Death is the biggest illusion humans fight to understand. It's basically saying death isn't an endpoint. It's just a puzzle we can't quite see the solution to. And this whole model we're about to unpack, it's really just an ancient attempt to solve that very puzzle, to figure out what actually happens when the physical body powers down. So what's so fascinating about this approach is the total shift in perspective it asks of us. We're used to thinking about this stuff in terms of superstition and belief, but this is different. We're stepping away from that whole idea of divine reward and punishment and into something that looks a lot more like, well, physics, a system of pure pattern and consequence. Okay, so before we can really build up this new way of thinking, we kind of have to tear down the old one first. That simplistic bedtime story version of all this that most of us probably heard growing up. And it usually starts with something like this, right? Good people get reborn in good places. It's a really simple, almost mathematical equation, isn't it? You do good things, you get good things in the next round. It's clean, it's easy, it makes a lot of sense on the surface.
And then, of course, you have the flip side of that coin. Bad people suffer next life. This completes that simple moral framework. It creates the sense of cosmic justice, a system that feels a lot like how we think about crime and punishment right here on Earth.
But here's the absolute kicker. While that simple story is, super effective for keeping society in line, the source material calls it, and I'm quoting here, a childish explanation. The actual model they describe is way more technical, and it has almost nothing to do with good versus bad in the way we think about it. All right, so let's start building the foundation for this new model. And it all kicks off with a really radical idea. What if your memory, your very essence, isn't just stored inside the squishy hardware of your brain? I mean, think about it. Even modern science is starting to bump into some really strange stuff that's hard to explain, right? You hear these wild stories about organ transplant patients who suddenly start craving their donor's favorite food, or they develop a new phobia. Or kids who remember shockingly accurate details about a past life that can actually be verified. All of this kind of points to the idea that maybe, just maybe, memory exists as an information field, something separate from our neurons. And you know what's wild? The ancients actually had a name for this. They called it the sukshma sharira, which translates to the subtle body. They saw it as this energy field, the actual vehicle of our consciousness. It's what carries all our tendencies, our habits, our patterns, and it doesn't just disappear when the physical body dies. Now, this idea of a subtle body completely changes the game. It reframes what we even mean by rebirth. See, it's not about some little soul hopping from one body to the next. It's something way more technical. It's more like a data transfer. And this comparison just nails the core difference. The old idea is that you, your personality, your ego, get a new body. But this new model says, no, that's not it. It's your unresolved energetic pattern that gets reborn. It's an energy signature that goes out and seeks a new system, a new body, that just happens to match its frequency. So try to think of your consciousness less like a single solid thing and more like a bundle of data. It's this collection of all your habits, your emotional triggers, those unfinished desires, all that karmic momentum we've built up. That bundle is what continues on after the physical body is gone. Honestly, this quote just says it all. Rebirth equals data transfer, not body transfer. It's such a perfect modern analogy for this ancient idea, isn't it? It's not about you, the person, being copied and pasted into a new life. It's about your data packet finding a new compatible server to run on. Okay, so if rebirth is really just this migration of a pattern, then what in the world is karma? Well, in this model, it is absolutely not some cosmic judge handing out sentences. It's something much more fundamental. It's basically a law of energetic physics. Yeah, this is a huge shift. This model completely strips karma of all that moral judgment we've layered on top of it. It's not about getting punished for being bad. It's just momentum. It's pure energetic cause and effect playing out within the field of your own consciousness. And here's how that mechanical process actually works, step by step. First, any action you take or even a thought you have creates a ripple in your energy field. Second, that ripple actually alters your overall pattern, your unique signature. And third, it's that new pattern that then determines the kind of future experiences you're going to attract. It's a chain reaction. So you see, it all comes down to this. You go where your vibration fits. The next life isn't a reward or a punishment. It's just resonance. That subtle body carrying your specific energy signature is just naturally pulled toward a situation, a family, a circumstance that perfectly matches its vibration. It's just physics. Like attracts like. Okay, so if we're all just caught in this big mechanical loop of patterns migrating over and over again, what's the point? I mean, is there a way out? Is there an exit door to this whole thing? Well, according to the system, yes. And finding that exit is the entire purpose of the game. That end goal is called moksha. But, and this is really important, moksha is not heaven. It's not some paradise you go to after you die. It's a state of being. It's what happens when you finally resolved all your patterns, when you've smoothed out all those karmic ripples, and your energy field just becomes still. There's no more momentum, no more pull to drag you back into another cycle. There's a really beautiful, poetic analogy for this state. It says, a wave that stops moving becomes one with the ocean. The little individual wave of your pattern, once it finally stops its endless repetition, just merges back into the vast ocean of consciousness. The separation is over. So let's bring this whole massive kind of abstract model right down to you, right here, right now. If the logic of this system holds, it means one thing. You have lived before. The pattern that you call you right now, it existed before this particular lifetime. And it means you will live again. As long as that pattern has any unresolved momentum, any unfinished business, any karmic ripples, it's gonna keep going. It will find a new compatible system to continue its journey. But, and this is probably the most important takeaway of all, the continuity isn't in your personality. It's not you, the person with your name and your memories, who lives again. It's the unfinished energetic business. It's the pattern that gets reborn. And all of this brings us to one final, incredibly powerful question. A question that takes this giant cosmic model and turns it into a really practical tool for your own life. Because if rebirth is just repeating the same patterns over and over, then the only way to break the loop is to become aware of the script you're living by. The second you stop running on autopilot and start living consciously, well, that's when the whole thing starts to change. So the question is, what script are you repeating?